All right, we'll try to get Brian on the phone line once again. To be more specific, oil has advanced more than 2% following a drop of more than 5% on Wednesday. This is, of course, come as US forces made fresh strikes against Iran. In the meantime, the Brent crude has risen above $96 a barrel. West Texas Intermediate was near 90%. There's been a drawdown in oil stockpiles that is being flagged as well. The American Petroleum Institute reported that nationwide crude holdings fell 2.8 million barrels last week, including a decline at the hub in Cushing in Oklahoma. So that's, of course, data from the United States of America. In the meantime, Brian is back with us on the broadcast. Brian, of course, what we've seen is a sharp increase in the prices of oil. Walk our viewers through the latest statistics.
Yes, clearly as of now, what we're getting to see that the oil prices climbed more than 2% after the fresh US strikes inside Iran renewed concerns obviously over escalating tension in the Gulf region and obviously the future of shipping through the Strait of Hormuz. The Brent crude surged above $96 per barrel, while US West Texas immediately hovered near the $90 mark. Again, recovering sharp after both benchmarks had dropped more than 5% during the trading session that happened on the very Wednesday itself. Markets, on the other hand, reacted after reports of new American military strikes in Iran, even as Washington and Tehran remain locked in a dispute itself over conditions for reopening and securing the transit to the Strait of Hormuz. And according to what we are getting to know from supply concerns, the American Petroleum Institute also reported a significant downdrawn in the U.S. crude inventories, where nationwide oil stockpiles reportedly even fell by 2.8 million barrels last week, including a decline at the major store hub in Cushing, Oklahoma. And now traders are also now awaiting official U.S. government inventory data expected later tomorrow for further signals on supply and demand trends. Yes.
Absolutely. As you rightly mentioned, the crude prices are now soaring, but at the same time, shares in markets have declined. Reports have come in that shares, particularly in Asian markets, have declined following the latest set of strikes that have taken place. In fact, Japan's Nikkei 225 edged less than 0.1% higher to 65,039.78, while Kospi in South Korea lost 1.2% to 8,126.67. Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index shed 1.9% to 24,855.86, and Shanghai Composite fell 0.3% to 4,080. Taiwan's TAIEX had meanwhile gained 0.6%. In Australia, the S&P ASX 200 declined 0.8% to 8,646.30. That's, of course, the details that we have. In India itself, the BSE Sensex has also fallen by 0.19% today to 75,867.80 points. That's not all. The Nifty 50 has also showcased a downward trend by about not much. The graph is quite close at this point. In the meantime, we're being joined by Ms. Mitali Nikore, senior economist. Thank you so much, ma'am, for taking out time to speak with us on NewsX. As my colleague Brian had pointed out, oil prices are soaring, but at the same time, the shares in markets are down as well, all because they've been a fresh wave of strikes in the Middle East. Strait of Hormuz has been practically in a logjam for the last couple of months, which has caused nearly a crisis as far as oil reserves in many countries across the world. US is now facing some pressure as well. The crude stockpiles in the United States have fallen by 2.8 million barrels last week. This is their 6th consecutive weekly decline. Where do you see this headed towards next? Or what do you make of the rhetoric that's coming from the White House as well?
No, absolutely. Thanks a lot for having me on this discussion. I mean, genuinely, I am very surprised by these geopolitical developments. And, I have no qualms in saying that I'm surprised because, typically we are able to anticipate. And but in this situation, it's genuinely the U-turn that has been taken by the U.S. administration. I think a lot of analysts would not have seen this coming because the last few weeks of ceasefire have been very constructive. And, the U.S. Side has been very clearly saying that, they also feel that they have achieved most of their objectives, on ground. But with this situation, I mean, it's genuinely surprising to see the U.S. side reacting like this. And, again, this is not a good sign for stability in global oil prices and energy markets.
Indeed. With that, ma'am, I'd like to thank you for taking our time, sharing your analysis with us. We will keep our